the NBA was just put on notice, as there were some question marks when the Raptors selected Colin Murray-Boyles with the number 9 overall selection over players like Colin Murray-Boyles and some other bigger names. But last night especially, the NBA realized what a powerhouse this man is, as this Raptors team could not throw the ball in the ocean. It was one of the worst offensive displays I've seen by professionals in terms of shooting, scoring, finishing, all of those types of things. But it was Colin Murray-Boyles. It was the powerhouse we have on the wing. It was the new engine to this Toronto Raptors ideally bench unit moving into next season. And he just proved how he can completely change the game with his elite size, athleticism, basketball IQ, and just continuous absolute intensity out there on the basketball court. So we're going to break down what happened in this Raptors game, how this team was able to put off a fairly dominant win on a night where there was a lid on the basket for this group, and how if this culture translates over, if we get Colin Murray-Boyles doing this out there with the big club, the NBA is not going to be ready for what the Toronto Raptors are putting together. So lots of stuff to dive into this video, but before we do, folks, you guys have been crushing it with the support. Again, on that road to now 39,000 subscribers, under 200 subs away. So if you want to join the community and you're enjoying all of the Toronto Raptors summer coverage, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because we are not slowing down at all. But just like the Toronto Raptors, we're not slowing down here. This team is not slowing down, as they've remained undefeated out there at Summer League. And the guy that does need to be talked about, needs to be discussed, needs to be brought up, is Colin Murray-Boyles, who is the man that was officially, I guess Masai Ujiri was still there, was part of the, the draft board process. But the first official guy in terms of Bobby Webster's, leading the charge out there on draft night. But CMB, there were some question marks because there's videos coming out about his jump shooting. Oh, he can't shoot that well. He's another big wing. We have 1,000 guys that play this style of basketball. Colin Murray-Boyles is different. He is a different basketball player from what we have on the roster, from anyone really the NBA has seen. Now, again, I'm not saying he's going to be a generational talent or something like that. Ideally, I'd like that to happen. But what we saw last night definitely should have fans encouraged, as in this game, in 25 minutes of action, 20 points, 4 steals, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 of 13 from the field, took 3 3-point shots, which is impressive, and knocked down one of them, which is cool. And yes, he did have 5 personal fouls. There's lots of fouls being let go and given away out there at Summer League, but this man was an engine for this team. The Raptors, you can see at the bottom there, shot 14% from the 3-point line. Jamison Bell went 1 for 5. Jakob Poeltl went 1 for 9. Jamal Shead went 0 for 5. Off the bench, we didn't, besides AJ Lawson, no one hit a 3 coming off the bench of this Raptors group. This was an abysmal shooting night on all stretches and all fabrics, and all of these were decent looks as well. The Raptors could not buy a single jump shot out here in this game, and in the modern NBA, in the modern Summer League NBA, that is a recipe for disaster. But CMB, literally when the Raptors were, especially the first half, the second quarter, when this team really couldn't put the, do anything together out there on the offensive end, CMB was the guy that could consistently get those, I used to call them the Kyle Lowry plays, right? Where, it's the perfect timing. Whether it was an exciting momentum swinging stop, that CMB would get. Whether it would be a bucket where he'd just make a really nice cut, a really great offensive rebound, just a bodying whoever was around him out there on the court, and getting in his rhythm and just making a game-changing play. That's what a lot of these Raptors team did, despite often scoring. CBL also did in terms of putting the ball in the hoop, but whatever it was, defensively, offensively, little things, loose ball, Colin Murray-Boyles did everything that you're looking for, and offensively, the man looks smooth, right? Like, he's efficient. He finishes around the basket really, really well. You saw in that his efficiency tonight, 8 of 13 for the field. He is not a center, don't get me wrong, but he plays that sort of, can play that dunker position. He can move out there on the basketball court, and we're not playing with a 3-point shooting center in Older Shamshe, who most of his minutes were with last night. This should work with Jakob Poeltl as well, who's a higher IQ basketball player than Shamshe, even though I think Shamshe will get to, does make some really, really nice plays in terms of passing. Sometimes a bit overzealous, but we'll talk about that after. But I am very encouraged by what I've seen from Colin Murray-Boyles and what flashes, what instincts. He's not going to be perfect. He's still very raw. The jump shot needs work. He can get more control and all that, but he's in the paint just throwing up pump fakes. Get up there, big boy, and watching people fly by him and finish the basket. Those are savvy veteran plays that you don't see rookies coming in to the league already having in their bag. And I am extremely encouraged about what he's able to do, how smooth he looks out there on the basketball court, because, you look at a guy like Jonathan Mobo, who definitely, I think, is a smart basketball player, is a good passer, as at the forward spot. He's been compared to a really, really, T-Boo Draymond Green for a reason, right? Because he has that IQ, he has that basketball instincts, all that type of stuff. Colin Murray-Boyles is like Mobo, but just a lot smoother. A guy that you can rely upon a little bit more in terms of getting things rocking and rolling out there for your squad. So that is something that is a huge, huge positive for this Raptors team. Looking like they hit a slam dunk, they hit a home run with Colin Murray-Boyles in that first-round draft selection. Again, it's just Summer League. We're seeing some different players play well, but, Malawatch, Carter Bryant, other guys in the mix have looked good for their teams, but I am very, very happy with the selection. So good stuff there for the Toronto Raptors. But other than that, right, because I could talk about the analysis on the offensive end. Elijah Martin had some nice drives, some rebounds and stuff. That was some positives. If we're looking at literally anything else, AJ Lawson, again, looked confident with the basketball in his hand. This game offensively was a wash. Jamal Shead was hoisting up some really bad takes, and as the biggest Jamal Shead homer stan there is out there, the leader of the Shed Head fan club, right? This guy was not making great decisions out there on the offensive end either last night's game. 8 points, but 1 of 9 from the field, 0 of 5 from the three-point line, rushed some drives, some Fred VanVleet-esque finishing out there around the rim, had 3 turnovers in this one, only 3 assists, but talked about the winning plays. Talking about the winning plays for Jamal Shead. This is why this man is playable, even on nights where his jump shot isn't going, even on nights where the touch isn't really there. Defensively, he's able to take some different charges. He's able to, make those steals, make those plays. And it was only 1 steal in this one, but deflections, impact. Jamal Shead's impact is felt. And Jacoby Walter, I declared him a star last game because we know he's going to be not shooting 1 for 9 from the three-point line out there for this group, for this squad last season. We have too much of a sample size out there at the actual NBA level to know that Jacoby Walter is going to be able to score, put the ball in the basket at an elite rate. This dude last night was a pest, was a demon out there on the defensive end, picking off loose balls, just getting in the way, getting deflections. And, you look at the stats again. We pulled these up, right? The Toronto Raptors in this one had 15 steals, which is a lot, but you look at that number could be tripled, it feels like, in terms of deflections, in terms of impact plays, in terms of moments in the game where you're just being a nuisance to that other squad, which completely gets them out of their rhythm. And, while it's 15 steals for the Toronto Raptors, once again, setting just that's got to be a record for most turnovers forced out there by a team, in terms of overall summer league action. As tonight, the Golden State Warriors ended up having 27 turnovers in this game, especially the second half. They were flustered, and while the Raptors could barely put things together, put a good shots together out there on the offensive end, it was the defense, it was the turnover values, how much they had this team flustered, because even and this style of off and defense, and we'll talk about this more as we get into the regular season stuff, because there are moments where, you're playing very, intense, over-aggressive defense, and in Summer League, you have the opportunity to foul more, you have more things you can really deal with. But in the NBA, or in this Summer League, you still see moments where if you're being over-aggressive, you have extra help leaning into things. If the other team's able to make effective swings, able to, execute their offense really well, it can, more so than not, lead to an open shot, an open quarter 3, and all of that type of stuff. Now, in Summer League action right now, what is happening with this is it's so much effort, it's so much work, it's possession after possession after possession, where, it's an absolute struggle to get anything going, even in the 1 out of 5 times, the 1 out of 10 times, where you just, break down this over-aggressive offense with an effective series of passes, whatever you're doing, and you get an open shot. It's just been such a grind over the past 5 to 10 possessions that, even those shots feel a bit flustered. And this team is just closing out, Elijah Martin, Chucky Hepburn, Jamal Shead, Jacoby Walter, AJ Lawson, all these dudes are closing out like madmen at those final possessions, the scrambling shots, and even those open looks don't feel as open as they actually are, and these other teams are flustered. Now, this could be a product of, you're playing against a Summer League roster where, there's not a lot of guys out there on the Warriors that are household names and guaranteed NBA players and everything like that. So that's something to factor in. Will this style of play work at the defense at the NBA level? I don't really care. I want to see it at least for the first month of the season, because I wouldn't be surprised, especially if you get more elite defenders out there. You get more guys like Scottie Barnes, Jakob Poeltl, super high IQ basketball players in the mix as well, right? You just might be able to make it happen. This is a style that Nick Nurse loved to implement, and did get some heat at times. The Toronto Raptors fans, the people across the league before he won the championship, especially. But once he won the chip, he kind of got leeway for everything he did. But especially late in his tenure too. The Toronto Raptors were kind of roasted because they let up a lot of open corner threes. They opened up a lot of three-point shots because they're over-aggressive on defense. They ran two weird schemes. Like guys like, the younger players, Precious Achiuwas of the world, couldn't really put together and execute effectively the same way a Marcus Gasol and Kawhi Leonard could when they won a championship. So we'll see if that approach, more steps in that direction from this Toronto Raptors organization on the defensive end, will be effective. It's working in Summer League, and it's really fun basketball to watch. But, the last couple things here I do want to bring up. Jamison Powell, again, didn't knock down his three-point shots tonight. Knocked down one, which was very timely, but I thought did a good job of playing a well-rounded game, which is going to be crucial because we know Battle's going to be able to knock down the three-point shot. But, the little things, he was dribbling, hit some, takes off the dribble. That was a positive. And Oler Shamshay, I think he has clearly outplayed Colin Castleton out there now at this point. And, the case for Castleton would be, okay, Shamshay is not ready. He needs to spend another season in the G League. And if you want that third-string center, because, you have Mamu there now at this point, but centers usually end up missing sometime. So Jakob Poeltl goes out. Castleton would be a reliable big man. I think Shamshay can step into that role. I think that Shamshay has proved out there during the summer league that he is capable at this point, to not need a Colin Castleton insurance third man backup, and AJ Lawson should get that spot. Because, in this game, he had 7 points, 3 rebounds. He missed, he got a couple passes where it clearly was spoon-fed to him by a guy like Jamal Shead, and he fumbled the pass. He's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but his impact is felt every possession out there on the defensive end as an anchor. Had 2 blocks in this game, and he's running really well. He's hustling, and doesn't look nearly as lost out there on the defensive end as he did, at times last year. So, lots of very, very exciting stuff for the Toronto Raptors. Let me know what you guys think about this Raptors game. Next game will be Saturday night at 4:30 Eastern, so excited to watch that one. But let me know what you guys think about this Raptors squad. How are you feeling about CMB? You guys the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.